Hey YouTube, Sloth and Doc here again from the Average Gamer Guys. We are taking another look at our Blitz decks. Since the beta and since our in-depth unit comparisons, both types of vids you can find here on our Halo Wars 2 playlist. Uh, since those changes and since we found a lot of new information, we're revisiting our decks and making some changes. We are going to be glossing over a little bit today, just because we have a lot of in-depth analysis in our beta build for these Blitz decks. So run over there, check those out if you kind of want to see in-depth analysis and card by card comparison and all that stuff for why we built the originals the way we did. And this one will be a little bit more glossed over and quick, but we will still hit the important parts. We, as I mentioned, did an in-depth unit comparison. We did time to kill and all that stuff. We have those both for Banished and UNSC. Go check those out. There's actually a really cool amount of information that we are actually really proud of there. So check those out. Doc's actually going to look over today our Isabel build, and you're going to see some changes from the beta. We swapped out our type of Cyclopses, we kind of removed our Armored Hog, and we actually, for the first time ever, have no artillery. We actually took out the Kodiak, and we have a couple options for you depending on your fancy. I'll toss it over to Doc here, and he'll tell you what we mean.
Yeah, so shrapnel mines is actually something me and Sloth talked here right before we started recording this. And I think this is initially upfront, just one thing, depending on your playstyle, depending on how you like to go. If you're a little bit more fan of leader powers or you're a little bit more fan of having a unit on the field, the Cyclops, the standard Cyclops, I think is completely interchangeable with shrapnel mines. The 10 energy difference isn't going to make a huge difference at all. As long as you got the veteran Cyclops on the back end, you're going to kind of cover down for that anti-vehicle capability. So you can make that swap up front. We haven't really talked through much in the other deck builds because we kind of settled on one deck that we've been using and finding success with. But honestly, that's probably one pretty easy, pretty quick change depending on your playstyle. The rest of this, not a huge change to be honest with you. We did remove the Kodiak, as Sloth said. We'll get to that here in a second. The rest of the cards, at least initially up front, your Nightingales, your Vanguard Wolverines, your Hornet, your Veteran Cyclops, and even through your Scorpion, Vulture, and Lockdown Scorpion, all standard stuff that we were seeing from our original build, all just great cards in there for obviously a specific purpose. But again, as Sloth said, if you want to learn more specifically about that, either check out our in-depth builds. We've been running a lot of the Vanguard and the veteran units specifically over their smaller or just kind of base counterparts, just because of how much better they actually are. Better time to kill, a little bit more health, more damage overall. So check out the in-depth unit comparisons, as he said. The one thing I do want to highlight on Wild Jackrabbit. Wild Jackrabbit, we've been a huge fan of Blast, especially in the full release of this game. Blast, the ability has slowed down just a little bit, so we're a little bit sad about that, but it is absolutely huge. And for me, this almost acts as another leader power, which is a little out of character. I love using Isabel. I love running this deck, especially 2v2s. We find a lot of success with a lot of our builds for running 2v2s between me and Sloth, just kind of doing a counter with a Banished leader and then a UNSC leader. And the nice thing is, a lot of times it plays into us using the daily challenges as well. But Blast is one of those abilities, especially with this Wild Jackrabbit. This unit is so spongy, has only 2 bars of health. The fact of no matter when you drop this thing in, you could drop it right into their, the middle of their army, as long as you have that sight line. This thing is going to die almost instantaneously, especially battle fatigued. And then you're getting the blast ability, and at 60 energy, it is a steal. We talked a lot in the Banished builds about using the Suicide Grunts at 80 energy. That was a steal. So this is even better. I don't even know how to describe how awesome this card can be if you use this card right, you use this unit right, if you use this ability correctly, and honestly, if they're not paying attention, especially if you get in a big fight, you're thinking about using one of maybe your more expensive leader powers, but maybe you see them moving some other units, or you think they might not be paying attention, or there's just honestly a lot of stuff going on. This is a great unit to drop in, because by the time they realize the flashes are there, they're probably gone, and then their units are exploded. So 100% throw this in. play around with the blast ability. It is very specific, but at 60 energy, I've called this unit in quite a bit, even to take out 2 or 3 units that maybe just are harassing me or just taking kind of the off point that nobody's really fighting for. Which honestly I'm going to pull back is why I use the starting army as hacker. Because honestly, what I will use is I will use one of the wild jackrabbits and the hornet to actually kind of be the point defense. I'll use the other one honestly as just a suicide mission to win that initial fight, to take out some units, especially if maybe they push to the same point, playing like 2v2s for instance, and they're trying to push B really hard. I'll just send one of these things over and hopefully wipe out both their starting armies, which has happened on occasion. So um, love that card. Absolutely throw it in. Again, the rest of this stuff, pretty self-explanatory. Really rolling up through. You guys know how much I love Mac Blast. If you've watched any other Blitz video ever at all where I talk about Isabel or leader powers, you know how much I freaking love the Mac Blast. This thing is awesome. They have slowed it down from the beta. So it used to come in super quick. You would not get a whole lot of warning. Next thing you know, you have this giant round come in and everything's just decimated. There's a little bit slower time for this one. It gives you the gives honestly the enemy a little bit of time to make a reaction, maybe pull a few units out of it. But again, this is one of those things, if they don't see this coming or they're not paying attention, or if it's just a huge fight that they know they probably can't lose and they got to just push their army anyways, this thing is going to be just absolutely detrimental to them. So I love this ability, absolutely got to have it in. And again, I'm going a little out of character here. I'm putting 2 leader powers in this, potentially 3 if I run the shrapnel mines. So next up, Ghost in the Machine, another awesome card. And one thing again, you're going to see with this deck, kind of a very small energy cost right up front for the first 6 cards, and then you really start to ramp up near the back end. So again, my opinion for this is probably a deck best used in a 2v2 situation where your partner can kind of pick up a little bit of slack maybe in the very early game. You're kind of using wild jackrabbits to just kind of keep yourself in it until you can build up that energy reserve and kind of outpace in that energy collection. And then you're calling in these absolute brutal powers. Again, Ghost in the Machine being great. One technique Sloth really likes to use, and I've kind of picked it up from him, is to use Ghost in the Machine, steal a bunch of their units, have them do some little bit of infighting, you know, maybe on a single point. Once you've kind of cleared that out, take the units and just bring them back to your base. Drop a couple counter units, 1 or 2 units at your base, sit them right in the point. When they spawn back and they get back to enemy control, the fact of how fast your units are healing inside of your base, the rest of the units that you stole that are now back under their control are absolutely just going to get shredded. It takes a little bit of time, so that is kind of a consideration with this leader power. But again, this leader power can be absolutely, absolutely great if used correctly. We played 1 or 2 matches even before we recorded this, and Sloth was able to take control of quite a few units. A vulture that they had stolen with a Spartan from us, ended up stealing it, getting it back, putting it in the base, destroying it, and then killing the Spartan on top of it. So it was absolutely brutal, and I really do love this leader power. And then I don't really have to put a plug in for Alice. I'm just going to show you she's awesome. Use her. Don't forget about her Spartan Slam ability. The fact that she can take a unit is really awesome, and that's probably a lot of times what you guys will use. But don't forget that she can use this just on infantry units or to get out of a sticky situation as well. Get out of maybe a leader power or get a little bit farther away from the fight if you're trying to get her back to base to heal her up. So that's kind of how it sets up. Again, just want to show deck stats real quick. A pretty low front end for the first 6 cards. You're going to be able to kind of cycle through some stuff and get some stuff out there to keep you in the fight. But really, towards the mid to later game, this deck really shines with its high cost units, high power units, as well as its high cost and high power leader abilities. Sloth, you got anything else you want to throw out?
This is a special leader for us always. Since the very beginning, we've always really liked her for a lot of the reasons that Doc just talked about. But If you have other reasons that you like her, reasons you hate her, anything like that, please do feel free to give us some feedback down in the comments. Different kind of builds you have for her, things you want to see in the future from us. So let us know why Isabel is the best.
She is. Yeah, absolutely.
You can tell it is by the way that it is.
Right. We're so stupid. um, Absolutely. Let us know down in the comments. We've been getting a lot of great feedback in a lot of the other videos. We love to hear from you guys. We love to talk in the comments. We've been getting a lot of Xbox messages as well. A lot of you guys want to play. So we're looking at trying to incorporate maybe some of that into the future. Find some time where me and Sloth can get on together and then get with some of you guys. So again, follow us on this. Subscribe to us here. And then also follow us on Twitter. We'll be putting probably out some of the information. And if we ever get a chance or I get some time to just kind of relax and play a little bit, I'll tweet it out and let you guys know. So that's kind of the plug to follow us there. And plus, just whenever we get kind of a big upload going, or maybe we post something new, usually try to throw that up there too. So it kind of gives you another way to ring in, check back to the channel and just see what new content we got up. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. We really do enjoy making these. And again, we really do appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us over the course of this last couple weeks as this game's kind of been flourishing and getting out there. So I've been Doc, that's been Sloth. We're Average Gamer Guys. Thank you so very much for checking this one out, and we'll check you next time.